Hello everyone, my name is Gabby and welcome back to another Hugtto Precure review, this time reviewing episode 7. Saaya's past as a former child actress has been revealed. She explains that she became more nervous and unsure over whether she wanted to do it as she got older, but still goes to auditions. Hana and Homare remind her that she's not alone and whatever happens they'll cheer her on. As a monster attacks and the Precure are defeated, Saaya's determination to protect her friends causes her Mirai crystal to change, powering up her attack. In the end, while she's still not sure if she wants to be an actress, she's determined to keep trying. So, what did I like about this episode? Well, first of all, kind of Saaya's backstory and essentially character arc that we're presumably going to get throughout the rest of this series. We didn't seem to really know that much about Saaya until now, and while I'm kind of surprised they held off on this for so long, I am honestly pretty pleased with how they did it this episode and what potentially they could be doing for the rest of the series. First of all, it's a kind of struggle that still feels very kind of grounded and relatable, even if it is a little bit fantastic in a way. I mean, not everybody has been a child actor before, but I'm sure a lot of people can relate to the whole idea of, well, first of all, relate to the idea of not really being sure over what you want to do, and second of all, kind of like when you were a child, sort of being really enthusiastic about one thing, but then once you start growing up and getting a bit older and getting a bit more mature, you're suddenly not sure if you want to actually do that in the first place. I also thought it was a smart idea for them to tie in the actual role that Saaya was auditioning for into the sort of struggles that she's been personally having, in that she's auditioning to this angel who has landed on Earth and doesn't really know what to do, and she doesn't know what to do in her life, and she is also pure Ange. So it's not particularly subtle, but I like that they did actually try to connect those two things together. You know, her as an actress and her as a person and her as a Precure. Also, I liked that with the introduction of Saaya's self-proclaimed acting rival of Ranze, they've got this theme going on in that it's sort of like Ranze thinks that Saaya is piggybacking off her mum's success, whereas she's the sort of self-made star, the person who's sort of just working all on her own and not being able to get these things because of like familial connections. I don't know if they're ever going to explore this in more detail if the character comes back, but I hope they do because there is a lot of potential opportunities for interesting stories out of that. Also, I just want to mention that I found the little gag with Hana and Homare basically sort of disguising themselves to get into the audition so they could quickly go and sort of like cheer Saaya up. I found it pretty funny. I don't always find those sort of ridiculous improvisation scenarios entertaining, but I thought this one was pretty good. As for what I didn't like about this episode, well, while I did really enjoy a lot of Saaya's sort of character development she got this episode, I don't think it really tied in that well with the actual Precure part. That is, in the actual fighting part, Saaya basically gets a power-up, and she gets a power-up pretty much by thinking about her determination to protect Hana and Homare. And that's a perfectly logical determination, that's a perfectly logical reason to get a power-up, especially considering that she's the defensive one, but it almost feels a little bit out of place given that the rest of the episode is really more just talking about like Saaya's personal determination to try and figure out what she wants to do in life. You'd think that it would be that kind of big emotion thing that would trigger her power-up and not her thinking about her friends. I mean, obviously it's sort of related in that her friends did help her figure out what she wanted to do, but it's not such a real concrete connection. Plus, the whole sort of emotional satisfaction out of that power-up really rests on the idea that Lulu is saying that pure Ange's shields kind of suck and don't really work very well, which, I mean, I guess you could kind of, if you squint your eyes, you could sort of think, you know, looking at previous episodes, oh, maybe her shields do suck, maybe it would be better if they actually worked a bit better. But at the same time, it's so early on in the series, I almost feel like we haven't had enough time to see her actually fight to really legitimately believe that her attack was actually kind of incompetent. So, as for next episode, well, now we had a Saaya episode, next episode is going to be a Homare episode. And judging by the formula of this episode, it seems like it's probably going to be also a Homare power-up episode. It is going to be interesting because it honestly hasn't been that long since Homare's character-focused episodes. Is this going to be a follow-up from her recruitment, or is this just going to be like the next stage of her sort of, you know, discovering what she wants to do in life and getting over her personal fears in the same way it happened to Saaya? It does have the potential to be really interesting because obviously Homare is a pretty interesting character, so I'm looking forward to it. So that was Hugtto Precure episode 7. Honestly, I think it was a pretty solid character-focused episode. While the concept of this episode almost in a way felt like it came out of nowhere and that we didn't really get any foreshadowing that Saaya even was this until last episode, I think they explored all of the connections pretty well and gave a pretty good reason as to why we didn't know about it until now. There's a lot of potential ideas over being a former child child actress, having a very famous mother, not being sure of what you want to do in life. There's a lot of different things you can do with that, and I feel like they introduced the ideas pretty well while still keeping them open for potential character arcs and character-focused episodes for Saaya later down the track. I'm not sure if this episode really did make Saaya my favourite, although any character with glasses is obviously going to appeal to me, but she's certainly far more interesting now, and I am far more interested to see another character-focused episode for her later on. So this is Gabby signing out, and I'll see you all next week. Bye guys!